This is The Sports Life.
Inbound Hoiberg, right corner, leans in. 3 for the tie is no good. And Michigan rallies for a huge win over previously unbeaten Nebraska.
17 seconds to go. Here comes Fears. 73-70 is the score. On the side, Ukachuko. He got it! He got it! We are tied at 73. And welcome into the Sports Life. We'll team here along with Dalton Shetler. A couple of magic moments in Big Ten men's basketball. Brian Butch on the call for Michigan as the Wolverines hang on and finally tag Nebraska with a loss after the Cornhuskers had won 24 straight games. And somehow, Michigan State found a way on the road to take Rutgers to overtime and eventually win it. And so now as we head into the second half of the Big Ten season, we got 4 guys at the top, Dalton, and it's going to be interesting. And one of the things we're going to do on the show is talk with Brian Butch from Badger Sports Radio and really get a feel for where the second half may wind up.
Well, and that's, of course, on the men's side, as you mentioned, but the women's basketball side in the Big Ten Conference is heated up and at the halfway point as well. And Austin Render from the Dribble Drive podcast will join us to give us a look at Big Ten women's basketball. And then there was some sad, tragic news, quite frankly, out of East Lansing. Of course, sent shockwaves throughout the entire Big Ten Conference in the sport of hockey. A lot of different programs paid tribute to Michigan State as they suffered the loss of the director of hockey operations, Dan Sturges. He passed away recently, suddenly, tragically. And to learn a little bit more about that, the voice of Michigan State hockey, Scott Moore, will join us to talk about his impact.
Unbelievable. Well, sounds of the week. You got a couple good ones here.
I was going to say, well, let's switch over to football. We've heard Don Fisher call national championship games before, but never in football. I don't think anybody ever expected that to happen for Don Fisher in Indiana. But lo and behold, Don Fisher calling the final moments as Indiana wins the national championship on top of Miami in Miami.
Here's the snap, and this time they're just going to go down to the ground, and that will do it. And the rags to riches story for Indiana football comes to conclusion, and they are the national champions of 2026. What a football team!
And they are the real deal, and they earned it, and they proved it week after week after week. And, of course, Don, 50-some years as the voice of the Hoosiers football and basketball, men's basketball. And I just wonder, did he tear up at all?
They showed video of it. They had the camera on him. It was tough to see. And, of course, he's doing the most iconic Don Fisher thing, right, where he's holding the microphone, calling the game. He's one of one, really, that does that anymore.
Yes, that's all. That's all true. But you know what? For those of us who know him, it was just so great that he could be a part of not only that game, but all those magic moments, as he talked about over the past couple of years. So Indiana, national football champions, got a Heisman Trophy winner. What is going on here?
And the party doesn't stop. The party made its way back to Bloomington, and even though it feels like it was negative 30 degrees in the Midwest, there still were Hoosier fans welcoming back this football team. They had a parade, a celebration for it all. Here's Indiana Athletic Director Scott Dolson at the ceremony talking and addressing the crowd in Bloomington, and you'll hear from head coach Curt Cignetti afterwards.
And last but not least, 2 years ago, on a Wednesday night, about 10:15 at night, I called Curt Cignetti on the phone. And I said, Coach, you're going to be the next head football coach at Indiana University, and we're going to shock the world. And there was a pause. And he said, you're blankety blank right we are going to, Scott. Let's go. So let me bring to the podium the best coach in all of football, our coach, Curt Cignetti.
Thank you. First, I would like to thank our tremendous fans who has turned out since 2024 this season. But what about that playoff? What about that turnout at the Rose Bowl, the Peach Bowl in Miami? Unbelievable. I would like to thank our players. We had a tremendous group of guys I would like to thank our seniors for their terrific leadership. We have great future leaders of society. Excuse me. My mouth's not working, it's so cold. The senior leadership, the makeup of this team, so close. So much of the right stuff. I'd like to thank Pam Whitten, Scott Dolson for their tremendous commitment. Chapter 3 begins tomorrow. And one last time on 3. 1, 2, 3. Hoosiers!
He's unbelievable. You know, there's so many great moments, but the one I laughed at, and I still laugh at it, was after they beat Oregon and now they're going to play Miami for the championship. In the post-game interview, I know, Coach, you're thinking about the next game. He goes, no, I'm going to pop a beer. That's what I'm thinking about. How do you not love that guy?
It's such a great personality. And, of course, so many famous one-liners. Maybe the most famous is, I win, Google me. Yep. And after winning the national championship, if you Googled Curt Cignetti, Google popped up and said, yep, he won. So Google got in on the joke even.
Oh, that's so great. Well, congratulations, Indiana. And by the way, 3 straight years of Big Ten has claimed a national championship in college football. Well, when we come back, we're going to take a look at men's basketball with Brian Butch as we've hit the halfway point of the conference season. It's all coming up in just a moment.
So, I got one for you, boss.
Oh, yeah?
What's black, white, and dented all over?
I give up.
The company truck. I know, but thanks to our agent, we've already submitted an insurance claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Lucky for you, that's simple human sense.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
Medicaid and CHIP offer free or low-cost health coverage for children and teens. Hospital and doctor visits, prescriptions, shots, and more are covered. That's peace of mind for parents if a child is sick or gets injured. And parents may now be eligible for Medicaid too, even if they've applied in the past. Enrollment is always open. Visit insurekidsnow.gov or call 1-877-KIDS-NOW. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
If you have diabetes, listen up. If you have insurance, you can qualify for a continuous glucose monitor. With a CGM, you can continuously track your levels and trends and spend more time in range, significantly lowering your A1C. More importantly, a CGM eliminates the one thing most people with diabetes hate: painful finger sticks. Order your new continuous glucose monitor today. If you use insulin and if you've seen your diabetes care provider within the last 6 months, you may qualify for your own CGM right now. We'll do all the insurance paperwork and deliver your new CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost to you. Medicare and most insurances will cover your CGM, so don't wait. Have your insurance handy and call the Aptiva Medical CGM Health Hotline right now.
800-948-6912. 800-948-6912. 800-948-6912. That's 800-948-6912.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Roxanne Watson is on a mission.
Hello, how are you doing today?
She wants more people to register as organ, eye, and tissue donors.
Are you an organ donor? Yes, I am.
Yay.
My goal is to sign up the most people in the United States.
What drives her? Roxanne's own life was saved through the gift of a heart transplant, made possible by an organ donor.
I decided that day that I was going to devote myself to the cause of organ donation and signing people up and honoring my donor by doing that.
Now she's back to health, and she's a powerful force helping to save lives every day through her work. Imagine what you can make possible by leaving behind the gift of life.
8 people can be helped with the major organs, and up to 50 people can be helped with a little bit of everything. And when you think about it that way, that you could help that many people, it's amazing. It really is.
Learn more and sign up as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. Go to organdonor.gov. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. Will Tiemann here along with Dalton Shetler. Well, in men's basketball, we have now hit the halfway point of the conference seasons. 10 up and 10 to go. And as we turn the corner for the second half, we have 4 teams now tied for first place with 1 loss each. Nebraska, Michigan, Michigan State, and Illinois. So what's in store for us for the second half? Well, we've asked Brian Butch from the Badger Sports Radio Network to talk to us a little bit about how he sees it. Of course, Brian's been around the Big Ten a long time and an outstanding player in his day with the Wisconsin Badgers. Brian, welcome into the show. And as you look at your crystal ball, I'll start off with a real general question. We got a sampling now of all the teams. We played half the schedule. What's it look like to you coming down the stretch?
To me, I mean, you look at this, and I mean, it's been an interesting week. You know, if we were to have this conversation a week ago, I would have said Purdue's really, in that conversation. But man, they've really struggled here, down the stretch this last week. And I think that's what happens in league play. Everything tightens up a little bit. You look at Wisconsin; they lose to USC, in which I thought Wisconsin was playing really good basketball. Michigan State, they escaped Rutgers. And I thought Michigan State was playing really good basketball. You had a tight one earlier in this week between Michigan and Nebraska. I think both those teams are really good basketball teams in what they're able to do and how they're able to approach. That to me is when I'm looking at the overall aspect of what this team does and where this league is, those are the ones that stick out. And then obviously you've got Illinois. And I think Illinois is the biggest wild card as we go down the stretch here. Boswell's injury, even though it's not season ending, really does change that. Now I think it's going to help this Illinois team. But I don't think you're going to see them continue to have the performances from, Wagler that they got before. I mean, that's one of those performances that's absolutely unbelievable, and you can't replicate that time and time again. So I think that's kind of the wild card that I have. But this league is deep. You look at the bottom of what this league is with Penn State, Maryland, Northwestern, Oregon's in there, even Rutgers. Those are 5 games. If you're trying to win a Big Ten championship, you can't have a slip up there. But then you also have, Minnesota, Washington, the USC. I would say Minnesota and Washington are kind of that. You've got the 5 teams I labeled. Those are kind of your bottom 5. You've got 2 in Washington and Minnesota. Really, they're playing good basketball. They can't necessarily figure it out, but Minnesota's been in a lot of games. They just haven't closed out games. And then you have the middle of the pack with USC, Iowa, Indiana, Ohio State, UCLA, Wisconsin. You throw those groups in there. That, to me, is going to be the most interesting finish to this conference because some of those teams aren't making the tournament. And I think that's the interesting thing. You're going to have to get some really quality wins. Indiana getting that win over Purdue, that helps them. But Iowa, how are they going to go? I know, just in general, what does that look like? USC, what are they going to do? Are they going to be able to, stack some wins together? Wisconsin, are they going to be able to do some other things? UCLA, they're playing better basketball recently. What are they going to do? To me, that's the most interesting thing as we finish up this league play because a lot of that's going to be determined seeding for the NCAA tournament.
Well, Brian, I think there's a lot interesting when you talk about these specific teams, but let's switch it to individuals for a moment. Here at the halfway mark, who would be the Big Ten Player of the Year if the season ended right now?
It's a great question. There's a lot of guys in play there when you look at it. I mean, you've got Jeremy Fears and what he has done. He's in play. Man, you've got Peyton Sanford, who I think has to be in the conversation for what he's done based on. But I tend to gravitate a lot towards winning guys, so I put more stake in that. But those guys are out there as far as Big Ten Player of the Year conversations. Yaxill's in that conversation just because of the way that Michigan has handled that. I think he's been ultra consistent with what they've done. Braden Smith is in that conversation as well. Even though Purdue's got 3 losses, you have to have Braden Smith in that conversation. So I don't know if I mean, the beautiful thing is I don't have to do that right now. I think when you look at, if you were to ask me that a week ago, I would have gone Braden Smith just based on what Purdue has done. But losing 3 down the stretch and winning matters a lot to me. I lean a little bit more like Jeremy Fears than what he's able to do.
Well, Brian, coming up, we have all those top 4 we mentioned a moment ago. They're going to start squaring off, and this thing is going to thin out a little bit. And a week from now, we're only going to have 2 teams in the top of the Big Ten with 1 loss. So as we start to have the big guys play the big guys, and, of course, I think you, me, and Dalton all will agree that middle pack you talked about, they're going to mess somebody up because that's just what they do. And so at the end of it all, how many losses do you think it's going to take to win this thing?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I would say it's probably, the number's probably 3. I think I think 3 losses probably wins this thing, just because you're going to have a couple of head-to-heads, and then you're going to have, some situations there, but you're going to have a team that's going to get really hot. I think there's 2 more, losses that a team can kind of have and still try to get. And the toughest thing for this, guys, and this is the reality when you have an 18-team league, is not everybody plays everybody twice. So you've got a couple of those double ups that you look at. I know Wisconsin's got Purdue twice. I don't know who I think Michigan State is twice too. I don't have that schedule in front of me, but like that right there is all of a sudden a pretty big disadvantage for both the Michigan schools if they do play twice, because both those teams are really good basketball teams. So that's the disadvantage of what this big league does. That being said, it is what it is, and you got to find ways to win games and stack them. But in my opinion, I don't see a team losing 2 to, I would say 3 or 4 guys. I think at max. I don't think it's more than that for sure.
Well, since our time is so precious, Brian, I won't ask you for Coach of the Year because I think we all would say Fred Hoiberg right now of Nebraska. I think that's a tough one to argue.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, since that's consensus, I do want to ask you, because you've brought up Purdue a couple of times, and we would have talked a little bit different about the Boilermakers just a week ago. What is the problem with Purdue, and is it something that they can have solved before they get to the end of this season?
Well, first, I think with my question is TKR hurt? That's the first thing, because he just doesn't look right. And Trey Kaufman right. And I think that's the question I have with this Purdue team. How healthy are they? Fletcher Lawyer has not played well at all recently here. And I think to me, he's the biggest X factor for Purdue. I love Fletcher Lawyer. I think he is such a huge part of what Purdue does. I don't think he gets enough credit when they're winning. He's getting a lot of blame now for the way that he's playing in their losses, and rightfully so. I think Fletcher has not played well enough in this, in what it is, in their losses. You look at Braden Smith and how he's able to run the show, but he gets a little banged up on that West Coast trip. So I look at that in general. Is it fixable? Yes. But I think a little bit of it has to be, can these guys fight through some of this that they might have? And I don't know if there's anything wrong with them or not. But I'm just looking at the way that he's moving, the way that they're playing. Not the same for sure. But for me, a lot of that has to become a what Fletcher Lawyer does. He's got to knock down shots, because when he's knocking down shots, now all of a sudden there's a lot more space for this Purdue team, and it gets some more room for TKR and Clough to be able to operate a little bit more. You get more space coming off of a ball screen by Braden Smith, and what he's able to do. Space is always a good thing on the basketball floor, and when Fletcher Lawyer is knocking down shots, they've got a lot more space.
And Brian, there's no doubt he's noted for his offense, but I think possibly a problem here is his defense. And I don't think that he's not trying to play defense. I just think sometimes when he gets matched up with quicker guys, he just can't get it done. And if that is remotely correct, what are they going to do about that?
Well, I think defensively now, one of the things that Purdue does is they have length, and they've got to be able to do that. I think creating the interior, you get guys to over-penetrate, try to make, play the analytics game of it. But there's always ways to cover up bad defenders, and I know it personally because Bo Ryan covered me up a whole bunch. So there's always ways to do it, that's for sure.
Well, okay, I'm going to ask you the impossible question real quick as we wrap this up. We're at the halfway point. When we get to the end of this regular season journey, who's our guy? Who wins this thing?
Guy, you're not going to like me for this, but I think it's Michigan. I think Michigan is the best team in the Big Ten. I've said it a couple of different places here recently. I've seen them, like I said, I've seen them up close and personal 3 times. And the one loss they have, I mean, it took a remarkable shooting day from Wisconsin, and it took 5 threes from Alexis Belauskas, who most Big Ten fans don't know who that is. And I love Alexis. He's a really good, rotational player, starter for the Badgers. But he hasn't hit 5, I think, in the rest of the Big Ten play. So you're going to have an outstanding performance by other people to be able to beat this Michigan team. I thought Nebraska played phenomenal in that game, and they still lost. So I just think Michigan, they come at you in waves. They're so deep. This is how you beat Michigan. And this is the reality of it. Now, and Michigan the reason the games have been closer recently is Michigan has been turning the ball over. There's the 2 ways you beat Michigan. You turn them over, and you make a lot of threes. That's what Wisconsin did. The other X factor for Michigan, especially in that Wisconsin game, with their one loss, was Elliot Cadeau got in foul trouble with about 6 minutes left at that first half, and it really slowed down Michigan's offense. I think he really has to play well for Michigan to be able to do what they want to do. But I love what Michigan State's about. I love Coach Izzo's approach of, hey, I'm going to keep my guys and I'm going to love my guys, and this is what we're going to do. And I think that is so good for college basketball. And there's a strong part of me that says, hey, I want Coach Izzo to win this whole thing, because doing it that way I think is good, even though college basketball isn't changing. I do like the story of, hey, you can win that way, because we're all a copycat. All the coaches, they copycat each other. That's just the reality of it. So if you can win that game, maybe more people try to trend that direction. But I just think Michigan and what they're able to do and how they're able to guard, they're switching, they're doing a lot of those things. So for me, I'd have to lean Michigan.
Well, Brian, as always, it's great talking to you. And in a few weeks, we'll maybe reconvene and see how smart we all were.
All right, sounds good. And to me, the most intriguing thing is that Player of the Year conversation, because there's a lot of guys in the mix, and and with the way Purdue's gone the last couple of games, it's opened up the conversation more, because it was a kind of a clear Braden Smith deal there. But I think it at least has opened up the conversation, and now what Braden has done over the last couple of years, he normally closes the door too with his play. So I expect him to have a strong finish to this. To the second half of the season as well.
Okay, Brian, appreciate it.
All right, thanks, guys.
Some of the thoughts of Brian Butch from the Badger Sports Radio Network, and, of course, a great player at the University of Wisconsin. And Dalton, I'll add one thing when he talks about he's kind of old school, and it'd be fun to see Izzo kind of old school win this thing. Well, he won it last year being old school by 3 full games. We'll be back with more of the Sports Life and take a look at the other side of Big Ten basketball, the women's side, in just a moment.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Dad. Did you get a new haircut or something? A new shirt? You're looking good.
What happened?
A little fender bender.
How little?
A few days in the shop little. But thanks to Mom and our agent, we've already submitted a claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto Owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Sounds like simple human sense.
I'm fine, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna ask.
Ask your independent agent if Auto Owners makes sense for you.
This is a potter's field. When people can't pay for their funerals, they are buried here. It is a lonely, desolate place, littered with unmarked headstones. No one visits. No one leaves flowers. But it doesn't have to be that way. For as low as $1 a day, you can ensure your family will have the money to pay your funeral expenses. We offer burial insurance plans that pay up to $30,000. Considering the average funeral costs more than $10,000, that's peace of mind for your family. There are no medical exams, your rates won't increase, and your policy cannot be canceled as long as you make your premium payments. Call now to get approved in minutes and ensure your final resting place is more than just a pauper's grave in a potter's field.
800-562-2407. 800-562-2407. 800-562-2407. That's 800-562-2407. Paid for by Final Expense Direct.
We all make choices about alcohol. Kids make choices whether to drink or not.
Bye, Dad. Remember, I'm going to Alex's party tonight and sleeping over.
Hey, remind me about that party again?
And adults make choices whether to talk about it. That's true of parents and every other trusted adult in a kid's life. Kids want to know our expectations, and they want honest answers in everyday conversations. So talk with your kids and help lead them on a positive path, because when you talk, they hear you. Learn more at underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Here's a real-life story that affects 50% of all of us out there. It's called divorce. If you've gotten divorced and now you're struggling to pay your bills and your credit card debts are completely out of control, you need to call this special debt relief hotline right now. We help people with all kinds of money problems caused by different life challenges, a divorce, a job loss, even heavy medical bills. All these life events can sometimes financially stress you out and cause you to get out of control. We help people get their lives back by showing them ways to consolidate and reduce their debt, in some cases for a fraction of what they owe. If your credit card balances are more than $10,000, call us and learn how to reduce your credit card bills and monthly payments now. Here's our number.
Paid for by Debt.com. Call now, 800-810-1584, 800-810-1584, 800-810-1584. That's 800-810-1584.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. We'll team in here along with Dalton Shetler. Well, we just had a good conversation with Brian Butch as we sort of broke down Big Ten men's basketball as they've hit the halfway point of the conference season. Well, on the other side, there's some pretty good basketball being played on the women's side. And joining us now from the Dribble Drive podcast is Austin Render. And by the way, Dalton is also part of that podcast.
That's right.
As they break down women's basketball. And so, Austin, I'll just throw out a general question here. We got Iowa, we got UCLA at the top. Any surprises so far?
I mean, Iowa is the surprise right now. I think we all saw UCLA being up here. By the way, thanks, guys, for having me on. Appreciate that. UCLA was expected to be here. It doesn't make it any less impressive what they've been able to do. They're not only winning, but they're kind of dominating. But I would say Iowa's the surprise. I was a bit skeptical on Iowa coming into the season. I think I had them around 10th in my preseason rankings because I just wasn't sure what the retooling would look like for Iowa. I did not see the big step forward that Ava Hayden has made this season, becoming a first-team All-Big Ten caliber big. I didn't know the impact that Chit Chat Wright was going to have, the transfer who has come in and really steered the ship for Iowa. And they've gotten great contributions elsewhere from the likes of Kylie Feuerbach and Addie Deal, and Hannah Stolke's just a very consistent player. So they're getting what they need to get from everybody. It just kind of feels like everybody understands their role within the Iowa program. So they're certainly the surprise, and they're going to play UCLA coming up this weekend, and we'll kind of get a firsthand look at truly how close they are to competing for the title.
Well, in Austin, I think you nailed it, too, when you talk about UCLA. I think a lot of people believe they're maybe a Final Four team, if not a national championship contender. They're that kind of caliber. But, Austin, you and I have had a lot of conversations about after that. I mean, Iowa certainly earned the right to be number 2 at this point, but teams 2 through X, it really is hair-splitting when you go in between them. For folks that may have not been following women's basketball this year in the Big Ten, if you can explain the parity we're seeing this year, because, again, ESPN had 13 teams making the big dance before the season started.
Yeah, and it's still 12 right now, and I've even seen Wisconsin floated in some like next four out bracketology situations. Yeah, I think there's like a couple of pools. I think you've got UCLA at one, and until anyone proves that they can really compete with UCLA, Ohio State was close, but until somebody makes that jump and beats them, they're in their own tier. So then tier two to me is Iowa at the top of it, but it's got Michigan, Michigan State, and Ohio State in it. 2 through 5. You could make an argument Washington is knocking on the door to be in that pool. They have already beaten Michigan this year. They lost to Michigan State. They're going to get a crack at Ohio State coming up here in a week or so. But I would say 2 through 5 in their own pool, and then Washington leads the next pool of 6 through 12, where it's Washington and Illinois and Maryland and Minnesota and Nebraska and Oregon, USC, Wisconsin. A lot of teams that are going to be NCAA tournament teams. They're trying to separate themselves from each other. So there is a ton of parity. That's what makes this league so much fun, is that there's every night you can tune into a game that's going to matter. I mean, Washington plays at Maryland, and then you got this huge slate on Sunday where just every game feels like it matters. So it just everything seems like you turn on a Big Ten women's basketball game, and look, there's UCLA at the top. There's a couple teams struggling at the bottom, but from 2 through 13, 2 through 12, I mean, anybody can beat anybody, and that's what makes this league a lot of fun.
Michigan State, they're sitting there at 7-2. They're having a wonderful season, 18-2 on the year. Is that a surprise team?
Not in my mind. I kind of had them here. I think my preseason, they were fourth in my poll. It doesn't shock me that they are here. It's surprising in kind of the weird route they've taken to get here. They didn't play a whole lot of teams in the early non-con. Then they have that shocking loss at Wisconsin. And then they finally do play somebody in the non-con, and they take down Ole Miss, a great win. They've been playing great basketball since. Their only loss is at Iowa, where that's a tough place to play. It was that night at Carver Hawkeye Arena. Spartans are 10-0 at home. They play this brand of basketball that's just really aesthetically pleasing to watch. They get up and down the floor. They can beat you in so many different ways. Dalton and I have talked about this, that they might be so well balanced that they may end up lacking a first-team All-Big Ten player because the way they're balanced. Grace Van Sluten can get you on a night, and then another night it could be Rashonda Jones, and another night Kennedy Blair could knock on the door of a triple-double, and then another night Jaylen Brown could come in and hit a bunch of shots. So the way Michigan State is built, we kind of saw this, and they're doing this without Theron Halleck, which is part of the surprise. But I would say they're doing, and again, when I say it's not a surprise, doesn't mean what they're doing isn't incredible. And the coaching job that Robin Fralick continues to put on there. This was not a team that was in a great spot before Robin Fralick got here, and now we're looking at 3 straight tournament years and could be a hosting school in East Lansing. What she has done to turn this program around has been really impressive.
Well, and you mentioned no Halleck for Michigan State. They're doing it without Isa Alexander as well, who became a regular starter for the group day in and day out. But I did want to segue over a little bit because I think so much of the conversation around Big Ten women's basketball the last handful of years has been star-driven, right? You had a phenomena in Caitlin Clark, Juju Watkins, and I don't think you throw the term generational talent around loosely, but Caitlin Clark and Juju Watkins were two of the same generation that were legitimate generational talents. There aren't people like them throughout the history of this game. Of course, Clark is in the WNBA. Juju Watkins misses this entire year after tearing her ACL in the previous NCAA tournament. This league is kind of looking for stars, and I think Lauren Betts of UCLA has been that a bit, but you and I are seeing Jelani Cambridge blossom into that for the Buckeyes a bit.
Yeah, she is the star, and it's a tough spot for somebody like a Lauren Betts. And look, I saw it too here in Bloomington a few years back with Mackenzie Holmes. Like, that's an All-American. It could be the Big Ten Player of the Year. That's a star in Lauren Betts. But you're never going to get that flash and pizzazz at the post position that you're going to when you see the things that like Jelani Cambridge can do, or obviously Caitlin Clark's an extreme example of just somebody who was box office TV, somebody who could score the ball from everywhere. I mean, think about what people want to watch. Do they want to watch these post-ups leading into nice hook shots and layups, or do they want to watch these three-pointers launched from all over the court? Like, the answer is always going to be the three-pointers. It's just a more exciting play. So that's where, like, yes, the Big Ten has a star in Lauren Betts, but they're kind of looking for more because you need somebody who's a little bit more flashy. And that's where Jelani Cambridge comes in. Might be the fastest player in the Big Ten. The way she can get up and down the floor is incredible. She's added so much to her game. Much better three-point shooter this season than she was her freshman year. Has the ball in her hands a lot. A good facilitator with the basketball. I really think there's a chance next year that she is the face of this league along with Juju Watkins, who comes back next year. And those two battling it out for Big Ten Player of the Year could be a ton of fun to watch.
Well, and I think it feels like the Final Four has been a bit predetermined, right? It feels like it's going to be UCLA, UConn, South Carolina, and Texas. I mean, those four teams are far and away the best. Vanderbilt and LSU are making a little bit of noise on the outside looking in. But overall, that feels like the four and UCLA are part of that. I think the big conversation with the Big Ten, Austin, though, is you're looking right now at maybe 5 teams from the Big Ten getting to host in the NCAA tournament. So much of the conversation we have about this league overall is, yes, it is the deepest, but a lot of them are seeds 7 through 10, and they're gone after the first weekend of the NCAA tournament. If you have 5 teams hosting in the NCAA tournament, I think that's where the Big Ten really gets to flex a muscle that it hasn't in recent years.
No doubt. And what in recent years, to your point, it's been, hey, the Big Ten's deep, but the SEC's got the top tier talent. And that might still be the case this season because the SEC has South Carolina and Texas and Vandy and LSU and Oklahoma. Like, that's a gauntlet at the top of the SEC. But the Big Ten's top is getting better. And you're now looking at Michigan and Iowa and Michigan State and Ohio State all being top 3 seeds in bracketology right now. Now, Ohio State's down to a 4, actually, now they pulled up. Maryland is still a 4 right now in bracketology. So 6 hosting teams right now, according to Charlie Kareem's bracketology this week on ESPN. So that is the next step for the Big Ten. The Big Ten has certainly established itself as the deepest league in the country and a night in, night out nightmare to play and coach in. But the next step is, okay, that's cool, but we need to get some teams into the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 and the Final Four. And UCLA did that last year, and I think without Juju Watkins, USC was going to do that last year. But there's still a little bit, I think, of those two teams don't feel like the Big Ten yet. And so, like, the SEC has your typical powerhouses, South Carolina and LSU involved. Now, Texas is involved too, but those are your typical SEC powerhouses, whereas the Big Ten, it's like, okay, you got these 2 implants that just came in last year and became your best teams. So can an Iowa, can a Michigan State start to establish themselves year over year? Obviously, Iowa has done it with Caitlin Clark, but now can they do it without her? And they're looking like they can do that this year. So, yes, that's the logical next step for the Big Ten is, cool, you're going to get 12 teams in. How many can you get to the second week? How many can you get to the Elite 8? How many can you get to the Final Four? I understand the spots are limited, but can you put yourself in a position to have a favorable path? And by doing that, you become a host school, and that's what 6 Big Ten teams right now are in position to do.
Well, Austin, as always, I appreciate it. And like we said to Brian, maybe at the end of this whole thing, we can circle back and see what we were thinking today is correct.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you guys having me on, and it's always fun talking to Big Ten women's basketball. I'm sure there'll be some things that I say now that look quite wrong by the time March rolls around, but that's the fun of it.
I appreciate it. Take care, Austin.
Thanks, guys.
So there you go, some of the thoughts about Big Ten women's basketball from Austin Render from the Dribble Drive podcast. Well, when we come back, somewhat of a somber story, but first a timeout.
So, got one for you, boss.
Oh, yeah?
What's black, white, and dented all over?
I give up.
The company truck. I know, but thanks to our agent, we've already submitted an insurance claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Lucky for you, that's simple human sense.
Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you.
If you served honorably in our nation's armed forces and you're looking for a way to continue serving your fellow veterans in your community, then join AMVETS. AMVETS members volunteer millions of hours at VA healthcare facilities from coast to coast, helping to improve the lives of their fellow veterans through the VA Voluntary Services Program. AMVETS posts and departments also participate in a wide variety of community service projects. If you no longer wear the uniform today, you can still serve through the AMVETS by joining today at amvets.org.
You hear that? That's the sound of uncertainty lurking under your hood. You know the feeling. I know I do. That sudden sinking sensation when you see a check engine light or your car unexpectedly breaks down and you're faced with sky-high repair bills. It's time to shield against unexpected repairs with CarShield. CarShield is America's most trusted auto protection company and has an A rating with the Better Business Bureau. Don't let the fear of a breakdown keep you up at night. Trust the Shield, CarShield, and say goodbye to terrifying repair bills and hello to peace of mind. Your plan also comes with 24/7 roadside assistance, courtesy towing, rental car options, and so much more. Don't wait till it's too late. Call CarShield now before a breakdown. Protect your wallet. Protect your car with CarShield. Get our best protection ever. Call now. You'll thank me later. 800-965-1292. 800-965-1292. That's 800-965-1292.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
Did you receive a call or message that mentioned Social Security and demanded immediate action? Did the caller know your Social Security number or other personal information and tell you that your Social Security number had been used in connection with the crime? Did you feel worried that your Social Security number might be suspended, your bank account might be frozen or seized, or you could be arrested? That is not the Social Security Administration. Social Security will not threaten you, demand your personal information, or instant payment, email or text you pictures or documents, or use a real government official's name to gain your trust. Social Security does not accept payments by gift card, prepaid debit card, internet currency, or by mailing cash. Criminals use these forms of payment because they are hard to trace. Do not be fooled. Hang up. Ignore them. Report this criminal activity to the Social Security Administration Office of the Inspector General at oig.ssa.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. Will Tiemann here along with Dalton Shetland. Don't forget, auto owners insurance, simple human sense. Ask your independent agent if auto owners make sense for you. Well, Michigan State is having another wonderful hockey season. Number 2 in the nation, competing for the NCAA tournament and another Big Ten championship. These are all good things. But suddenly, the goodness of the season took a really horrible turn with the passing of Dan Sturges, the director of hockey operations. This young person was 40 years old and suddenly just passed away. And to talk about him and the impact on the program and where the Michigan State hockey goes from here, we're being joined by the voice of the MSU hockey team for 29 seasons, Scott Moore. And Dalton, he doesn't look much different.
That's true.
Because when we met him, he didn't have much hair then, so he didn't have much now.
It was brown back then, but...
You know, they say that's the secret to aging. You know, if you look older on the front side, then you just stay the same.
There you go. Well, Scott, this is a horrible thing that's happened. It's tragic. So how is everybody doing?
Everybody seems to be handling things as best as possible. Last week, the week that Dan passed away on Monday, incredibly difficult for everyone on the team. This coaching staff is so tight and so on the same page. They come to the weekly radio show together and sit together and laugh and have fun. And it is a death in a family in that way. Having been over at the hockey building a couple of times the week after it happened, it was pretty somber. It was a very, very quiet place, and that's not normal for that place. That usually is a very happy environment. The games over the weekend, sweeping Minnesota, which is a very good rivalry for us, those games, I think, helped a lot. Just getting back into a normal situation, getting back and playing. You didn't really see a whole lot of effects of the week in the Friday game or in the Saturday game. The Saturday game was maybe a little bit sharper, even though it was a closer score. But it was nice for the guys, nice for the coaches to be able to focus elsewhere for a couple hours.
Well, and I think to talk about that weekend, there were some neat ways that Sturges was paid tribute to, and there was an honor of him. We could talk about some of those, but first I want to talk about just the lasting legacy. I mean, you talk about the impact, the influence he had on the coaching staff. This is somebody also that skated for the green and white. He was a national champion, a part of that 2007 squad, a Spartan through and through. I mean, this leaves behind an everlasting legacy for Dan Sturges.
Oh, it does. The job that he did as director of hockey operations, so important to the success of the team. And all of a sudden now things are scrambling. Beside the grief that you feel, you do have to get back to work, and you do have to figure out, okay, how are we going to take care of this? We talked with Brad Fast, who kind of assumed Dan's role this past weekend, and he's like, there are parts of this that I don't even know how to do, but they muddled through. They made sure they got through the game. They got a couple of wins, and next week will be easier because we'll have a little bit more time and a more normal week, as normal a week as you can with an outdoor game coming up. So.
What about the players? How do they take it?
Everybody processes it in their own way, and some of the players were really, really affected. There were tears when they did the moment of silence before the game on Friday. But by and large, from what I got from the coaches as the week went on, things got better. For the team and for the staff, not just the coaches, but the office staff and the people that are involved in it. It was just a huge, unexpected blow.
You talk about the moment of silence on Friday. Saturday at Munn Ice Arena was Star Wars night. And I think it's kind of interesting. It gets a chuckle from you because I think context is required for people who may just be uninitiated. Dan Sturges, or affectionately known as Dougie around the program, was a huge Star Wars fan.
Oh, yeah.
And so for this to be able to happen, where they're trying to honor him through the weekend, head coach Adam Nightingale was wearing the Millennium Falcon tie. It
was Dan's tie, yeah.
Dan's tie. I mean, it really was kind of a neat moment, it felt like, where everybody in the know that knew Dan Sturges was able to really appreciate that in a certain light.
Yeah, I loved Adam's comment afterward. He said, I used to rag on this guy about this tie, and now here I am wearing it. But, the tributes not only here in East Lansing. I mean, the number of messages that I got from other play-by-play guys around the leagues was just outstanding. But the reaction around the league, nobody in East Lansing knew it, but Ohio State and Wisconsin were playing, or it was Ohio State and Notre Dame, and they all had Spartan lapel pins on their sport coats on the bench, and the players all had Spartan lapel pins on their way to the game. Minnesota, our opponent, had stickers on their helmets with a DS, and the guys are wearing a DS patch on their sweaters for the rest of the season. I imagine that we'll have something going on at Penn State, probably on the Friday game, a moment of silence there. It's just, it has rocked the college hockey world. The Red Wings had a moment of silence for him this week. So anybody who knew him loved him because that was just the kind of guy he was. And he loved, being a Spartan. His dad is a Spartan, still on the top 10 of some of the scoring lists and maybe some of the penalty lists as well. It was a different time, but he was a Spartan. His brother was a Spartan. They played. Dan was national champion, and that national championship team. One of the hallmarks, they were so relaxed because Zach McClellan, Justin Abdelkader, Dan Sturges kept things light, and they recorded lip dub music videos. And even got the basketball team involved in one of them when they did Run DMC's Walk This Way. But they'd be out there. Dan would be the keyboard player, and I think he was using a hockey stick or a goalie stick as his keyboard, and just pretending to do these songs. And the guys loved them. The fans loved them because they played them on the big screen. Things like that are what I remember about Dan.
And I'm sorry to jump in here real quick, but Dan's dad also, you talk about him being a Spartan, after the win this weekend, joined the team in the locker room to sing the fight song, which that's a really cool thing to hear come together as well.
Yeah. John is a very good Spartan. When his boys came to school here, he jumped in, got involved in the committee that helped to raise the funds for the new addition at Munn Arena, and he's here a lot to see his boys. Every once in a while, I'll hear a little tap on the glass next to me in my broadcast position. John Sturges is there waving. He was my color man, Rob Woodward. He was his unofficial advisor when we're trying to guess how many shots on goal. Rob probably should have fired him years ago or weeks ago because I'm way up this year. I don't know how, but the family is a great family. Maybe the thing that really has touched me the most is seeing the GoFundMe that they put together for Becky and the boys. The original goal was $70,000, and it's up over $170,000 now. Wow! And growing, and the list of names, not just from Michigan State, but from around the world of college hockey, that are jumping in to help is just outstanding.
Well, Scott, I appreciate you stopping by, and maybe next time when we talk, we'll have a little happier topic.
I would like that.
So there you go, some of the thoughts from the longtime voice of MSU hockey, Scott Moore, in his 29th season, as we reminisce about Dan Sturges, the director of hockey operations, who tragically and suddenly passed away at the age of 40. Back with our parting shots in just a moment.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Dad. Did you get a new haircut or something? A new shirt? You're looking good.
What happened?
A little fender bender?
How little?
A few days in the shop little. But thanks to Mom and our agent, we've already submitted a claim and can track the status right from the app. Auto Owners pays what they owe without any hassle.
Sounds like simple human sense.
I'm fine, by the way.
Oh, yeah, I was gonna ask.
Ask your independent agent if Auto Owners makes sense for you.
Everything is expensive right now. Gas, food, you name it. You're spending more, you are making the same or less money. So, what do? You rack up credit card debt, that's what you do. It's not your fault. It's the economy. And guess what? If you rack up too much credit card debt like some of us, you can't pay your bills. Then the credit card companies, as nice as they are, start hounding you for money. Then you start your downward spiral. A smart thing for you to do is to call the Zero Debt. They can help you consolidate all your credit card bills into one affordable payment. Millions of people have done it. It works to make you debt-free. Make this free call right now. It costs you nothing to learn more.
800-298-9093. 800-298-9093. 800-298-9093. That's 800-298-9093.
We are strong, we are resilient, and we will get through this together. But these are stressful times, and it's important to also practice good self-care. It's normal to feel overwhelmed, anxious, or afraid, but there is hope. Reach out to someone, connect with your friends, stay in touch with your community, and know that you are not alone. Learn more at wearebroadcasters.com/hope. Furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
We'll be back with more in a moment. This is The Sports Life.
I found hope in the midst of an overwhelming situation.
Alcoholism is a disease that can affect any family. Everyone suffers, but there is help and hope at Al-Anon Family Groups.
Al-Anon gave me my life back. I'm a better father and husband.
Are you in an overwhelming situation because of someone else's drinking? Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Local and virtual meetings are available. Maybe one could work for you. Call 1-866-200-0033 or visit alanon.org/hope.
I'm Naheem Hines, professional football player. No matter the challenges I face every day in the NFL, my mom is always there for me, despite her own struggles with muscular dystrophy. And MDA is there for my mom. At their 150 care centers across the U.S., MDA is the leading organization in research and care for kids and adults with muscular dystrophy, ALS, and related neuromuscular diseases. Join me and learn more at helpmda.org today. Thank you.
And welcome back for more of the Sports Life. Will Tiemann here along with Dalton Shetler. Well, we've had a good show, I think, this week. Talked a little bit of men's hoops and women's hoops in the Big Ten, and we really appreciate Scott Moore, the voice of the Spartan hockey team, to talk about the sudden passing of Dan Sturges. So, with that, it is now time for our parting shots.
And by the way, if you've missed any of that, make sure you give us a follow. At Sports Life Now is where you can find us on X. That's, again, at Sports Life Now. We'll have everything posted there. This was a pretty busy and packed show, so we didn't get to everything. And I don't think we can just skip by what happened in West Lafayette this past weekend, because Mackey Arena is a house of horrors for everybody. I mean, you loathe the day that it's on your calendar, and you've got to go to Mackey Arena and play against Purdue men's basketball. That's the case for most people, except for this freshman from Illinois named Keaton Wagler, who stepped in and scored 46 points as a freshman at Mackey Arena. It's stuff that just simply does not happen, and no doubt about it, I think that's one of the iconic performances that Mackey Arena will remember forever.
He just didn't know any better.
That's right. Ignorance is bliss.
That's right. Well, I'm going to stick with men's basketball. I'm going to talk about the player of the week. The player of the week was voted Jeremy Fears, the point guard at Michigan State. Had a couple of really nice back-to-back games. And he's continuing to have nice games. But here's my point. This strikes me as amusing. The last time Michigan State had a player of the week was back in 2021 in March. That was Aaron Henry. So just think about this one for a second. Last year, Michigan State won the Big Ten regular season championship by 3 games. That meant somebody was playing pretty good, right? Mm-hmm. And they didn't have one time. Now, one time was anybody off that team picked the player of the week. But then you look at Tom Izzo, all-time winningest coach in the Big Ten. He's been the National Coach of the Year 8 times. Big Ten Coach of the Year 4 times. But you know what? Misery loves company. You ever heard of Mike Krzyzewski, the all-time winningest coach?
I think so.
Yeah, in history of basketball. Well, he's won 5 national championships. He coached at Duke 42 years. Won a lot of titles. Only 5 times was he the ACC Coach of the Year. So I'm not quite sure if being good makes a lot of difference. Maybe it's if you're really awful and you're a little good, that's the inside track. And with that, that wraps up our show for this week. And as always, I'd like to note that you can find us wherever you find your podcasts, like SoundCloud, Spotify, and Apple. And make sure to check us out and hit subscribe. As always, thanks to the Big Ten Network. The Sports Life is produced by Dalton Shetler. Our executive producer is Wendy Hart. So on behalf of Dalton, I'm Will Tiemann, and thanks for your time.